Hello and welcome back to Mass Effect 3.2. This is my campaign and proposal to BioWare to make an alternate version of Mass Effect 3. Now, as you've probably realized, it's been quite a while since I made the last video, and I did that on purpose to try and give you guys an opportunity to read through the document if you want to, and to post the link to the document onto as many Mass Effect related websites as possible. Now, unfortunately, this channel has not been getting a lot of traffic, so I'm going to have to ask all of you to continue to post the document link onto anything that you can just to get the word spread about Mass Effect 3.2. So, thank you all again for your continued support, and let's get started. So, up until this point, I've done everything up to the powers, so I've talked about the roles of all the different squad mates, and now I'm going to cover the powers of all of these squad mates just in one video. It shouldn't take very long, and you guys might have already read this far in the document, but I'll just go over it and tell you kind of why I made their powers the way they are. So, let's get started. Powers. The following is a list of all potential suggested squad mates and their active powers. As you can see, given any specific squad combination, there will never be more than 3 squad members present with the same power. Example, at most, Garrus, Edie, and Kaden will have overload, but no one else. This provides variety among the squad members, ensuring that each one has at least a slightly different proficiency than the others. In addition, all squad members will be able to supply 2 different bonus powers for the player to obtain via advanced training. However, in the case of Jacob Taylor / James Vega, there is a slight alteration. Regardless of who is present on the squad, Carnage is still available as a bonus power. The second bonus power differs depending on the squad member, just to add a little variety. Finally, in any given specific squad combination, there are never more than 2 weapon sets that are the same. Ashley Williams, Sniper Rifles and Assault Rifles. Inferno Grenade, bonus power. Disruptor Ammo, Concussive Shot, Marksman, bonus power. Edie, Submachine Guns, Heavy Pistols. Incinerate, Overload, Defense Matrix, bonus power. Decoy, bonus power. Garrus Vakarian, proficient in Sniper Rifles and Assault Rifles. He has Concussive Shot, Overload, Armor Piercing Ammo, which is a bonus power. Proximity Mine, which is a bonus power. And Jack, who has Heavy Pistols and Shotguns, like in Mass Effect 2. Her powers are Shockwave and Throw, as Jack is seen deploying a throw-like biotic power in many cutscenes involving her. Lash, a bonus power. As with other powers, if the squad member uses it, there would be no projectile. The power would hit the target instantly. If obtained by the player via advanced training, however, a projectile would be shown. And Annihilation Field, bonus power. As with powers such as Barrier and Defense Matrix, it would be selected once to activate it, and then if selected again, the power would deactivate with damage done to the targeted enemy. And for those of us who do not have multiplayer, those last 2 were powers that were developed for the multiplayer section of the game. And Jacob Taylor, who is proficient in Assault Rifles and Shotguns. Carnage, bonus power. Pull, Incendiary Ammo, and Smash, bonus power. Smash would be deployed slightly differently than in multiplayer. It could be deployed during either a lash or a pull. As with other powers, if the squad member uses it, there would be no projectile. The power would hit the target instantly. If obtained by the player via advanced training, a projectile would be shown. And James Vega, Assault Rifles and Shotguns. Fortification, bonus power. Frag Grenade, Incendiary Ammo, and Carnage, bonus power. Javik, Assault Rifles, Heavy Pistols, Slam, bonus power. Dark Channel, bonus power. Lift Grenade, and Pull. Kaden Alenko, Heavy Pistols and Assault Rifles. Reeve, bonus power. Cryoblast, Barrier, which is a bonus power, and Overload. Liara Tassoni, Submachine Guns and Heavy Pistols. Singularity, Stasis, which is a bonus power. Warp Ammo, which is a bonus power, and Warp. tali'zorah Vast Normandy, Shotguns and Heavy Pistols. Energy Drain, bonus power. Sabotage, Combat Drone, and Defense Drone, which is a bonus power. And finally, Urdnot Grunt, Shotguns and Assault Rifles. Concussive Shot, Frag Grenade, Shredder Ammo, which is a bonus power. While all ammo powers in Mass Effect 3 deal extra damage to health, Disruptor Ammo deals extra damage to barriers and shields. Armor Piercing Ammo deals focus damage on armor, and Warp Ammo deals a little damage to all 3 protections, armor, shields, and barriers. Unlike in Mass Effect 2, Shredder Ammo would deal extra damage to shields and armor, and, like all the others, health. And finally, immunity, which is a bonus power and is the power from Mass Effect 1. So, let me go back up here for a second. I said up here that in the case of Jacob Taylor and James Vega, there is a slight alteration. It's important to remember that Jacob and James would never be present on the squad at the same time. In Mass Effect 3.2, there is either one or the other, depending on choices that you made during Mass Effect 2. So just clearing that, making sure that we all understand that. So as you may have noticed, there's kind of an abundance of soldier type characters with an all combat focus on the squad in Mass Effect 3.2, which I was hoping to avoid any specific abundance of classes because the powers would get too similar and the proficiencies of the characters would start to sort of meld together and they wouldn't really have many differences in combat. So I sort of studied the powers of the soldiers already on the squad, and I realized that Ashley is sort of a tactical soldier. She does have concussive shot and inferno grenade, which deal direct damage to the opponent, but disruptor ammo and marksman are sort of tactical powers. Marksman, of course, is very obvious how that would be tactical. It doesn't deal direct damage to the enemy. It's sort of a boost just to her. And disruptor ammo powers are always tactical because they're not dealing direct damage to the enemies, they're just upgrading the weapons that you're using. So Ashley is sort of the tactical soldier. And as we move down the list, I'll sort of label the other soldiers as to kind of how I saw their differences. So EDI is sort of one half of the engineer class. Engineers are sort of broken into two halves power-wise. There's the projectile half, which is stuff like Incinerate, Cryoblast, and Overload, those stuff that kind of come directly from the Omni tool as projectiles. And then the other half is sort of the combat drones and the sabotaging and the hacking and all of that stuff. So EDI is sort of one half of that engineer class, the projectile half, because she's got Incinerate and Overload, and of course Defense Matrix and Decoy, which are very tactical powers. So moving on to Garrus, he is the only infiltrator, so I always considered him to be quite vital to the squad during Mass Effect 3, because combat and tech is a very unique blend of focus. I found myself taking him on a lot of missions just because his skill set was very unique and very beneficial, and his weapon proficiencies are helpful as well. So as for Jack, when I added her to the squad in Mass Effect 3.2, I knew that Liara and Javik were already on the squad, which both Liara and Javik are very biotic focused. So I thought, how could I make Jack different? And I wanted to start with the basis of Shockwave, because Shockwave was sort of Jack's unique power in the second game. None of the other squad mates had Shockwave, so I wanted to start with that. And I thought, what if I just make her just the most heavy-hitting biotic in the squad? So that's kind of what I hope to do. Everything in her arsenal for the third game deals damage directly to the opponent. There's Shockwave and Throw and Lash and Annihilation Field, and those last two, like I said, are part of the multiplayer section of the game. So yeah, she is just the heavy-hitting biotic, combined with her weapon proficiencies. She likes to get close range because of the shotgun and then just use her biotics. And so yeah, that's really what I wanted to go with her, was just the most direct damage dealing. And also, by the way, I know that Lash is a bonus power that you can get from Aria during the Omega DLC, but as a point of pride, I did give Jack the Lash bonus power in Mass Effect 3.2 before the Omega DLC came out. So, I did not copy that off of Aria. However, this does bring up the problem. Technically, if the player has downloaded the Omega DLC, then really Jack cannot provide the player with two different bonus powers. But I feel like Lash is really essential to Jack's power arsenal in this game, because it sort of replaces Pull, just sort of in the gravity sense. You know, as opposed to throw, where it pushes the enemy away from you. Lash pulls them towards you. So it was a replacement of pull, but it also deals more damage than pull, more direct damage, which is really, like I said, what I wanted to go for with Jack, was just directly damage dealing powers. And so I didn't want to get rid of that, even when I figured out that Arya's bonus power was Lash. However, Arya does have another bonus power, which I believe is called Flare in the Omega DLC. Because she's only a temporary squad mate, I figured that it would be alright if she could only provide one bonus power, and I would just leave Lash on. So really, you'd be getting the bonus power Lash from Jack, and then only one extra bonus power from Arya, which would be Flare. So yeah, I really felt like Lash was an essential replacement to pull. And then as for Annihilation Field, I thought, okay, we have a bunch of direct projectiles in one form or another to the enemy, so let's give her something that's a little bit different to avoid repetition. And I thought Annihilation Field would be a very apt power to put in there to serve that purpose, because it's not a direct projectile. It is something that is surrounding her, just like Barrier or Defense Matrix or Fortification or any one of those things where you have to activate it and then deactivate it. And in Barrier, Defense Matrix, and Fortification, when you deactivate it, it purges the shields of the character. In this case, as those of you who play multiplayer know, it would deal damage to a targeted enemy when it was deactivated. So that's Jack. Moving on to Jacob. There would be no other vanguards on the squad because the two in the previous games, Rex and Thane, obviously do not return to the squad. So Jacob would be the only vanguard, and so I think an essential part of the team, because combat and biotics are also another very unique blend. And like I said before, Jacob and James are kind of interchangeable characters as far as their roles go, and I wanted to sort of make that the same with the powers as well. I wanted them to be different enough so they sort of added a slightly different flavor to the gameplay and to the combat system, so that, say, a player started with James, he could go back and do another playthrough with Jacob, and the whole combat experience would be slightly different, but not too different, because I wanted them to be interchangeable in a way. So I made two of their powers the same, Carnage and Incendiary Ammo, Carnage being a bonus power. So regardless of who you had on your team, you could still obtain Carnage as a bonus power. And then I switched up the other two. For Jacob, it would be Pull. I figured Pull was sort of an essential part of his character during Mass Effect 2, so I wanted to bring that back. And plus, that combined with Smash, which is a bonus power, and Smash would be, like I said, deployed slightly differently during a Lash or a Pull. And so he could really do a combination of attacks just with himself. He could pull an enemy into the air and then smash him back down, or during one of Jack's lashes, and like I said, Lash is a bonus power, so if the player wanted to obtain Lash via advanced training, Jacob could do the smash during Shepard's Lash, or Shepard could obtain Smash via the advanced training and then do a combo just by him or herself with a Lash and then a Smash, or a Pull and then a Smash. And I do not have multiplayer. I don't play multiplayer with this game, so I'm not fully aware exactly how Smash works. I'm not sure if it's one of those whip-like powers that one class has. I'm forgetting the name of the class, the N7 Adept or something like that, but I know that there's one class that uses almost like these biotic whips sort of things. And if Smash is one of those whip-like powers, it would be changed for single-player use, just to be sort of a projectile if Shepard uses it, or just to hit the target instantly. If you could like visualize a enemy that is floating up in the air with a pull, and then a smash brings them back to the ground, or during a Lash, like and I believe Lash was changed for single player when they gave Arya that power. So moving on to James, the next soldier in the list, like I said, with Ashley sort of the tactical soldier, James is the heavy hitting soldier because he's got Frag Grenade and Carnage, which are two big damage dealing powers, and he's got a lot of weapon damage too, and combine that with incendiary ammo, and he's a pretty heavy hitting soldier. He's really focused on dealing damage, again with his weapons proficiencies, assault rifles and shotguns, just really a heavy hitter of a soldier. So he's that type of soldier, whereas Ashley is the tactical soldier, which sort of makes them slightly different if you have them on the squad at the same time. And of course, in Mass Effect 3.2, there are numerous different combinations. You could not have Ashley and have Kaden, or you could not have James and have Jacob, or any combination therein. So there's a good chance that you wouldn't even have James and Ashley on your squad at the same time. But just in case there is, they have to be different enough in their proficiencies and their talents in order to really make them unique during combat. So Javik is a very varied biotic. His powers are all kind of vastly different. They're all direct damage dealing for the most part. Cole doesn't really deal a lot of damage, but he's the only character with a fully biotic focus that has a grenade power, which makes him unique. So he's the varied biotic of the team. Moving on to Kaden. Kaden is the only sentinel in the squad, and really there's a 50% chance that, of course, that he's not on the squad because you saved Ashley on Vermeer. On my first playthrough, I saved Kaden, and I'm very glad that I did because his skill set is probably the most unique on the squad in the current version of Mass Effect 3. The combination of biotic and tech powers is very unique, and I enjoyed that skill set during my playthrough, so I'm glad that I saved him because he is the only sentinel on the squad. So Liara, like Ashley is the tactical soldier, Liara is sort of the tactical biotic. Her moves don't really deal a lot of direct damage. Warp is pretty much the only one that deals direct damage. Singularity, you can make an argument that it does, but really the point of it is to sort of stop enemies in their tracks and make them easier to target, even if it does deal some damage on the side. And of course, Stasis is a very tactical power. It doesn't deal any damage whatsoever, and again, ammo powers are always very tactical because they're upgrading the weapons without dealing direct damage to the enemy. So Liara is the tactical biotic. Tali, like I said, is sort of the other half of that engineer. Edie was the one half because she dealt mostly with the projectiles with overload and incinerate. Tali is sort of the other half of the engineer with the sabotaging and the hacking and the drones and all that. So she was definitely a very effective squad mate to have out in the field with you. And finally, Grunt, who is the last completely combat-focused character on the squad of Mass Effect 3.2. And like I said, Ashley's the tactical soldier, James is the heavy-hitting soldier, and Grunt, I wanted to make him sort of the defense-focused soldier, and really the only defense-focused character on the squad. He would be the character that when you took him out onto the battlefield, you would hardly ever have to worry about reviving him with Medigel or resuscitating him or anything like that. He would just be kind of the one, and of course there would be extreme cases where, like if a Banshee got him, where you would have to revive him, but I wanted to make his focus like he was almost the invincible character, which would make sense because he's a Krogan. And so he does have slightly direct damage dealing powers with concussive shot and frag grenade, but shredder ammo and immunity are pretty tactical. Immunity especially I wanted him to have because if you recall, it reduces the amount of damage that is taken to the health, and or at least that's what it did in Mass Effect 1. So it would definitely be something similar in Mass Effect 3.2, just another thing that really makes him hard to kill for the enemies. And his passive ability, which is kind of his class, the one power that isn't active and you can't use on the battlefield, most of that would be focused on either increasing his shields or increasing his health. And of course there could be a little bit of upgrades with the weapon damage here and there, but I really wanted the focus of him to be defense. So he's hardly ever incapacitated during combat. He's just kind of dependent and reliable, always there and always fighting. So he is the defensive soldier. So Ashley was the tactical soldier, James is the heavy-hitting soldier, and Grunt is the defensive soldier. And that's really what I wanted to achieve with having 3 different soldiers on the squad, because there aren't a lot of combat powers, and it was a challenge to give all 3 of the characters a unique feel in combat. But I think, hopefully, that I have achieved that. And the same thing with the biotics. There were 3 completely biotically focused characters, Javik, and Liara, and hopefully they would be pretty varied and unique during combat as well. So I believe that wraps up this video. Again, I apologize for taking a while, but I just wanted to give you guys time to read through the document and just sort of get a feel for it and make sure that you still support it, and of course to post the link to the document wherever you can, which I still really would appreciate it if you guys would keep doing that, because like I said, that my channel hasn't really been getting a lot of traffic recently. So if we could just make a group effort to post that link wherever we can and raise awareness for Mass Effect 3.2, that would be much appreciated. Thank you again for your continued support. As always, let me know your feedback in the comment section. Let me know if you noticed any errors of any kind, either typographical or something that might create a plot hole later on. And yeah, I love to hear your guys' feedback, so please continue to do that in the comment section or with personal messages. I'm up for anything. So, yes, I believe that wraps up this video, and again, thank you so much for your continued support, and thanks for watching.